That puppy in the window costs far more than the price on the tag. Add up everything a dog can cost you over 15 years, the food, the vet, the small daily extras, and at the high end it reaches more than $60,000. A cat at the high end reaches more than $47,000. Those are the top of a range, not a fixed bill, and we will come back to that. But sit with the size of it. The animal you bring home for free can quietly become one of the biggest purchases of your life. That number is not a guess. It comes from one careful piece of work, the Synchrony 2025 Lifetime of Care Study, which added up real spending across a pet's whole life, about 15 years. But one thing up front, because on this channel it always matters. This study comes from Synchrony, a company that lends people money for vet bills, so it has a clear interest in the cost of a pet looking large. Read it with that in mind. Here is why we trust the shape of it anyway. They have run the same study for years. The numbers have climbed steadily rather than jumped around, and the ranges line up with independent sources. It is a lender's study, but a careful one. And even its floor, about $20,000, is far higher than most people ever picture. Here is the first thing the lifetime number hides. The cost is not spread out evenly. Year one is the spike. For a dog, that first year alone runs about $1,300 to $2,800. For a cat, about $960 to $2,500. And this is not just the lender talking. The ASPCA, which has no financing to sell, separately puts a dog's first year at around $1,200, right at the low end of that same range. That spike is the spay or neuter, the first round of vaccinations, the bed, the bowls, the carrier, the leash, all landing in the same few months. So the pet that felt almost free at the shelter hands you a real bill before its first birthday. After that, the yearly cost settles down, but it never goes away. Then comes the part that does the real damage, the steady drip, year after year. Take insurance. Dog owners in the study reported spending about $200 to just over $300 a year on health coverage. Note that is what owners said they spend, not the price of a policy. On top of that, wellness care, the routine checkups and preventive visits, ran roughly $400 to $700 a year. Cats bring their own modern line item, spending on cat tech. The automatic litter boxes and feeders, now about $350 to nearly $500 a year. None of these feel large on their own. Multiply any of them by 15 years, and you see where $60,000 comes from. And now the part nobody tells you, which is not a hidden fee at all. It is a hidden gap in your own head. The same study found that nearly 8 in 10 pet owners underestimate what their pet will cost over its life, and not by a little. Ask dog owners what they think the lifetime bill will be, and they guess about $8,000. Cat owners guess under $6,000. Line those guesses up against the real range, $22,000 to $60,000 for a dog, $20,000 to $47,000 for a cat. People are not off by a rounding error. They are off by a factor of 3, 4, sometimes more. The gap is not in the vet's invoice. It is between what you expect and what arrives. And that gap turns dangerous in one specific moment. The study found that 74% of owners have already been hit by a surprise pet cost over $250. 3 out of 4, so it is not rare. It is the normal experience of owning an animal, but here is the number that should stop you. Only about 3 in 10, 31%, say they could comfortably handle a major pet expense. So nearly everyone gets surprised, and barely 1 in 3 feels ready. And the bill can be brutal. A single emergency or end-of-life vet visit can run, by the ASPCA's estimate, somewhere from $2,000 to $4,000. That is one phone call from the clinic, and most people meet it with nothing saved. So dog or cat, which one actually costs more? At the very top of each range, the dog comes out ahead by about $13,500 over a lifetime. That is a calculated figure, the gap between the two ceilings, and it only holds at the top. It does not mean a dog always costs $13,000 more. A cheap dog can easily cost less than an expensive cat. The real lesson is not which animal wins. It is that both cost far more than the small, comforting number in your head. Put it in terms you already feel. $60,000, the high end for a dog, is a new car you will never park in the driveway. It leaves in small pieces instead. $40 of food here, a $300 dental there, a quiet insurance charge every month. Nobody ever signs a $60,000 contract for a pet, and that is exactly why it slips past everyone. A car loan announces itself. A pet just costs a little at a time for 15 years, until the total is the size of a car you never noticed buying. So should this talk you out of a pet? No. A good dog or a good cat is worth far more than money, and almost everyone who pays the bill would pay it again. Just go in with your eyes open. Know that the real number is in the tens of thousands, not the thousands. Set aside even a little each month, so the emergency call is a bad day and not a crisis. Love the animal and budget for it like you mean it. If number stories like this are your thing, subscribe. Every figure here is sourced, and the receipts are in the description.